Today's video is an interesting one about the BYD ship that they are actually building now to ship thousands of their EVs around the world. And they're actually using two different fuels to fuel it. Welcome back to the channel, folks. Thank you for tuning in. It's getting hotter here in Brisbane. It's currently 30 degrees outside and the air conditioning is on full and struggling. So in the next couple of weeks, or next few weeks, the coming weeks, I'll be heading back to Europe, which I'm really excited for. And I'm definitely a cold weather person, and I'm keen to do some travelling in Europe and visit some new places. So coming straight from Queensland summer to Europe winter will be very fun. I'm actually really excited for that. And especially to Scandinavia, where it will be basically freezing. I expect it will be sort of floating around zero, negative, maybe one above, something like that. So it's only mid-November now, and it's it's 30 degrees Celsius right now at 10:14 in the morning. Very hot. And also I just nipped out to the shop an hour ago, and my electric bike felt as though it was cooking almost. It was terrible, and it hates the heat. So it will be best in the evenings, I think, and then when the weather is colder. Like, it's normally fine on an evening. Can I also ask as many of you as possible that live in the UK to vote on my latest poll in the community section? It should be fairly easy to find. So you go to my channel, then click community. So it's a poll regards the vehicle MOT period in the UK. Obviously, it's every year at the moment, but they're still considering it. They've been considering this for like a year, over a year maybe, and they're thinking about moving it to 2 years. So kind of like the EU. Feel free to put in the comments what you think of this. Interestingly, in Queensland here, they don't. You have a roadworthy certificate, which is an MOT basically, only when the car changes owner. So that could just be once in its lifetime, and then you could scrap it technically, which is that's just dangerous, really dangerous. I've seen loads of tires on cars here sparking as I've been driven past, like at least a few times in the last few years, which is crazy. I've never seen that sort of thing before. And then apparently in South Australia, it's just the light. I think it's when you get the car registered, you pay for the safety test, and then you can change owners without having a safety test, MOT kind of thing. Anyway, just an interesting thing. A perspective from a European person who lives in Australia for a while. It's just a bit weird, isn't it? Anyway, so as I was saying in the latest video, we have about 40 million, roughly, EVs globally on the roads. So this year we'll add another 15 million, which I mentioned in the last video as well. That's a 37% increase on EVs on our roads in a year, which I think is fantastic. I also mentioned that selling vehicles is tricky. You of course, you all know this, but it's tricky, not least because you have to have some money, an audience, design the car, build it, ship it, sell it, and it's very difficult to do that. We're talking about a couple of ton of material. BYD are aiming to triple their vehicle sales this year, taking in up to 3 million vehicle sales by the end of the year, and I think they're pretty much on track for this. I think they were slightly below at one point, but now one issue is going to be moving these things around the globe in a sort of a cheap, quick, practical way that's sort of reasonable. Hence why BYD have decided to build a hybrid ship that can carry 7,000 vehicles around the world when it's full. Which, when you're talking about millions of vehicles, you can see the size of the problem that they've got here. That's a big deal. They can actually sell these cars. They actually can produce them and sell them, but just moving them around the world is incredibly difficult, So if you're thinking about 1 million or 2 million vehicles from one brand moving around the world, that's a big deal. It will be fueled by liquid natural gas, not petroleum gas, so LNG. And it will also be battery powered. It has a top speed of 34 kilometers per hour, which is not what you're supposed to say when you're talking about nautical miles. I believe, but 34 kilometers per hour. Meaning that it could theoretically go from Shanghai in China to Holland in 22.5 days. But I've got literally no idea about the logistics in shipping, so it seems a bit of a waste for them to then just drive that back empty. I don't know if you drive a boat back or if you sail a boat back, because are you sailing? I don't know. Anyway, so they will likely get some sort of deal, I reckon, to bring some cargo back or something like that. It's just a guess. Or maybe ship some Volkswagens across. I have no idea. That doesn't seem to make sense to me, how they can actually make this work for them when it will take 22 days to get cars to Europe and then 22 days back, all in the aim to move 7,000 vehicles. I don't know how they would figure this out to make it viable. They obviously will. If you're someone in the know, write in the comments, because I'm interested, and also I'm sure some other people would be quite keen to read why they would do that. So BYD have sold 11,831 vehicles in Australia to date this month, and also 4,361 in New Zealand. And they haven't sold many in Europe so far after the rush that they had initially, and then they just sort of struggled to sell them after that, which is strange. And I recently read in the comments about one of the people that watched the video said they have still yet to see a BYD in the UK, which is interesting to me because they're a brilliant car. They all have a good range that would be perfect for the UK, provided that they do galvanize and rust treat the structural metal and the bodywork of the car. So if anybody knows, please let me know in the comments, because literally nobody seems to know. There's speculation that they don't, because one person said that they saw some rust on a bolt somewhere, and I don't know. It looks good. I've not seen anything bad in the last couple of years about BYDs, other than that one comment about a rusty bolt. BYD, when you ask them, I asked about 4 people, and I'm not kidding, about this, and they literally all say they don't know, which coincidentally is what I think they would most likely say if they knew the answer, but it was a no. So I don't know. I really don't know, but it is an important thing. And the UK has very salty roads in winter, so this makes a big difference, I think. Remember as well, just a bit of a tip, and you can do your own research on this, PTFE, the chemical compound, or silicon spray as it's sometimes called, but you just have to make sure silicon spray doesn't control petroleum products in the one that you might buy. Is really good to protect your car in winter. I literally use this by the bucket loads, and I know a few people that do this in the UK. So silicon spray isn't the stuff you put on your car tires to make them shiny. That's not the silicon spray I'm talking about. So it's an aerosol can you can buy from car shops, basically, probably Amazon maybe too, and it's either known as PTFE or silicon spray, which is basically a dry lubricant. And I just think it's one of the best things that we can possibly go and buy. It's the most awesome thing if you read the Wikipedia page. It's fantastic. So PTFE spray is a dry lubricant, and it's really water repellent, and they use it in the marine world to protect the metals on the outside of yachts and boats and things, so that the metals don't alter because of the climate that the boats live in, because they're always floating around salty air. So I always go and grab some PTFE spray at the beginning of winter and cover all of the car underneath, and it actually works a treat. From as far as I can see, I've done this for years, and I know people that do it on their cars that have had no corrosion for 15 years. I know somebody who's got a car that's 20 years old in the UK, and the car looks like it's basically new underneath. Maybe that's a coincidence. Maybe it's just because it's a Honda, but anyway, it's brilliant. As far as I can see, you can spray it on anything, even straight onto live chipboards, and it's perfectly fine. I'm not suggesting you do that, but I have done it to protect against the elements and water, make them water resistant. And I think there is a video on the internet of someone spraying PTFE on a chipboard and then putting it in water, which seems ridiculous. but it apparently works. And I know it's very, very good. So it's heat resistant, water repellent, dry lubricant, dries invisible, and brilliant for anyone who lives in a salty climate. And also, when you spray it on your windscreen wipers, it's fantastic because it sort of spreads back onto the windscreen as the wipers go like this. Even though you'd imagine that there's just the tiniest bit on the wiper blade, it seems to just cover the whole windscreen in like an invisible water repellent, and then water just goes up the windscreen. Fantastic. So I would encourage you all to Google that if you're in the UK, because it's brilliant, and I think almost nobody knows about that. Thank you to all of you that have joined on Patreon or YouTube memberships. They're only like $1.50 a month, and it's very much appreciated. Thank you very much. And it's made me a lot less stressed knowing there's a few people chucking a bit of extra money this way. So that's really, really nice. Thank you. So I can make these videos every day. Remember to subscribe and then press the little drop down arrow or little bell icon next to them, so you can turn on notifications, so then you get notified when I do post new videos every day.